Hi, and welcome to the first ever Country Bumpkin Creates podcast. My name is Lucy, and I'm coming to you from a little village called Peter Tavy on the edge of Dartmoor down in Devon, at the southwest of England. You can find me on Instagram. Sorry, I'm just looking at my show notes. You can find me on Instagram as country_bumps and on Ravelry as country bumps. This will primarily be a podcast about knitting, crochet, the odd bit of sewing and dressmaking, but not a huge amount. There will be some now and again. You have to excuse me, I'm really nervous. This is the first one, so it's a bit scary. I'm just going to start with some recent finished objects. Might as well jump right in because I'm just going to waffle else. So this one that I'm wearing, the first one, I'll take it off because I'm a bit warm, is my Patronus shawl by Kingfisher Knits, and it's like a, I don't know how to describe it, like a kite shape shawl, and it's by, like I say, by Kingfisher Knits on Ravelry, and the yarn is the Patronus kits knit created by Nora George Yarns, and this one was Luna's Hair. Nora George did several different colourways, but I'm a pink girl, so I don't know if you can see very well. So you had two colours. You had a main colour, which was this pink, and then you had a beautiful speckle, and the pattern was really well written. You've got these bits of lace sections, and with the stripes, it's primarily a garter stitch shawl, and then you've got this ridge running right down through the middle. So the pattern was really good because it wasn't monotonous. You had enough to keep you interested. So yeah, that's the Patronus shawl. So that was a recent finished object. Another recent finished object was my, sorry, I've got all my rubbish sat here so I can just grab it, was the eyeball shawl by Stephen West. So this was knit, so it's eyeball shaped with a big eyeball in the middle. I predominantly knit this while I was on holiday in Gran Canaria and was getting some very odd looks, and the Norwegian chap next door thought it was a pokeball. So yarns. So this black is the Magpie colourway from Amy at Stranded Dye Works, and this was also a Stranded Dye Works. This is Wallflower, and they were just perfect. And then this, what I used for the white of the eye, was I dyed that myself, and it went a little bit wrong in the dye pot, but actually, from what I wanted, but actually it came out really well. So I was quite, I didn't want huge amounts of white because it just gets dirty looking. So so what I did for that was, I used 3 different types of like pinky red speckles, 3 different blue speckles, and then I just got a paintbrush and sort of whapped it all over the skeins, and then I put it in the dye pot to cook, and then I just sprinkled some black dye, powder. So I didn't mix it up into some water first. I just sprinkled on the powder and let it just seep through. And then the border is stripes of the sclera colour. See, technical. That's the white of the eye, and then the colour that the Magpie that I used for the pupil. In the pattern, you can either do a brioche border or these just garter stripes, but haven't ventured into brioche yet. But stay tuned because it may be coming. So I just did a garter stripe border, and it should have been a little bit wider, but I got a bit bored of doing loads of stripes, so I stopped it sooner. And then a I-cord edge, and I really love an I-cord edge. It gives you that little bit of stretch and it blocked out to be huge, so I'm really looking forward to getting somewhere out of this once the autumn and winter comes, because as knitters we like the autumn. So excuse me, sorry. And then third and final finished object are these socks. So this is the Yorkville sock by Mina, who is the knitting expat. This is from her New York sock collection, which she's releasing on a monthly basis at the moment. I think we've got one more left. I've got the current months as a work in progress, so I'll show you that in a second. So what I like about Mina's patterns is she tends to just do the pattern bit on the front of the sock, and then you just do a normal stockinette on the back. And I like a heel flap and gusset. This should have been an Eye of Partridge heel, but something went a bit Pete Tong here, and I think I messed up which row I was on the pattern. And then gusset decreases, and then I do a lovely rounded toe, which Mina also gives you in the pattern. I do 72 stitch count on my socks because I have wide, I have sort of troll feet, my husband calls them. They're short, wide feet, so I do 72 stitches of a sock. I do a 2x2 rib at the top. Yeah, so there's those two. The yarn is, again, Nora George yarns. This is the Veritaserum, which is Harry Potter reference, because these came as part of the Mrs. Weasley's knit club that Nora George does. And I think they're just, the colour is just beautiful. I could see a jumper for myself in the future in that, if it's ever a repeatable colour. I'm not sure she ever does Mrs. Weasley's clubs as a repeatable colourway, but don't quote me on that, because I'm not sure. Okay, so that's recent finished objects. Let's move on to works in progress. There are quite a few because, hey, we're knitters, we can't just have one project on the go, can we? So in my beautiful sheepy applique bag by Mrs. Moog on Instagram, it's a beautiful sort of drawstring bag, and it has two handles, and it's so beautifully made. It's like a canvasy bottom, and these beautiful sheep, and I don't think you'll be able to see them, but on the inside there's some pockets. So yeah, Mrs. Moog, and I think on, who is Leslie of Mrs. Moog, sorry, I'm just looking at the label, she is Moog's mum on Etsy, which is where I got this beautiful bag from. But if you follow her on Instagram, she does tell you when her latest shop updates will be. So in here we have Languishing, my flare sweater. So I have to bring the picture. So this is a sweater by Vera Valimaki. I apologise if it's back to front. I'm new to all this, so hopefully it'll come out the right way around once we've... So here we are, and this is being knit in the... That's a bit better. Sister. It's gone a bit... I don't know what's going on here. I might have to darn those when it's finished. But the Sister colourway by Amy of Stranded Dyeworks. So there's one of Amy's tags. So she is... Oh, sorry. Can't even do that right. She is Stranded Dyeworks on Etsy, but if you don't watch Amy's podcast, then please go and watch it because she's brilliant. She's a UK based dyer. She's in Sussex, I believe. And this is her Sister colourway in her 75/25 superwash merino nylon, 425 meters per 100 grams. And like I say, the colourway is Sister. I am alternating skeins, so I'm using two. Sorry, I have a love-hate relationship with my ball winder. So here we are so far. So it's a raglan construction. So you start with the neck, you do a few short rows on the back of the neck. to give you this high neck, and then you do short rows around here so you can get this sort of squarish neck here. Then you do your raglan increases here, split for the sleeves. Oh, these are fantastic. If you ever have to put stitches onto, like normally you put them on waste yarn or something like that, and then it's a nightmare trying to pick them back up. These are by Clover. I've got the longer ones here, sorry. Let me just grab one out of the packet. These are circular stitch holders, and they come in long or short. So this is the long one, and they're 24 to 36 inches. And the ones I put the sleeves on were short ones, so they do 9 to 16 inches. And they're ever so clever. I'll just take one out of the packet. Because when you get down, I bought long ones as well. So I can put them on, put it on waste yarn to check that it actually fits properly. Which, fingers crossed, it does. So they come like this. It's got like a oh, sorry, I don't know where the camera is. They've got this needle attachment on one end. So then you just use that to go through the stitches that you want to put on waste yarn. And then on the other end, it's got like this little stopper thing. So then once your stitches are on, you would just push that needle into that stopper like this, and then your stitches don't, you know, that won't come out, no matter how. This has been in and out of the bag so many times. So yeah, so I'm now on to, so split for the sleeves, and then down the side, so I won't, because it's a paid for pattern, I won't give away the secret sauce. So to get the flare, then you every so many rows you're just increasing stitches, a certain number of stitches on each side. So I'm hoping that, and I've got to knit down to 13 inches of the body. I'm knitting it on Knit Pro Zings. These are 3.5mm, because that's what I had to go up to get gauge. And these stitch stoppers are fantastic. These are by Yarnistry, who is Yarnistry Shop on Etsy, but she's Yarnistry on Instagram. And they're really good. They're all laser cut foam, and I bought 2 sizes, and they come in a variety of different colours. And I think this is the small size, so you can see it's got like a really small hole. They do have a little, I don't know whether you'll focus on that, a little S on there for small. And then I bought the larger sizes, or medium, sorry, as well. And these go up, I think this one goes up to a 4mm, and these go up to something like a 6.5, 7. And then there's a larger size as well that they do. But they do fantastic sort of knitting and crochet gadgets. You know, we all love a good tool or gadget, so I highly recommend going over to their shop and having a look around and seeing what we get. So yeah, like I say, I am, because it's hand dyed yarn, I am alternating skeins every 2 rows. I've lost my show notes because I'm sure there was something else I had to say as well. What's wrong with those? Sorry. Ah, there we go. Nope, that was it. I did cover everything. I just wanted to make sure I talked about these stitch holders and the stitch stoppers by Yarnistry. So I'm just going to put all this back in the bag. Yarn is... So that's the first one. So, works in progress number 2. My niece Holly is having her first baby in October. So we're all very, very excited about that. It'll be the first great-grandchild for my mum and dad. And my sister's first grandchild. So we do know it's going to be a girl. And we can't wait till she arrives, like I say, the end of October. But we may be seeing her a bit before then. Sorry, I'm all in a tangle. So I am knitting, one of the very many things I'm knitting is a garter stitch baby kimono, because my niece is doing pregnancy yoga at the moment and intends to go to baby yoga once we call her Banana because when she had her first scan she looked like Banana, so we call her Miss Banana. So once Miss Banana's born, they're going to go and do baby yoga. So again, I'm doing it on Zing needles, and these are 3mm, and I'm using the stitch stoppers again. So basically you cast on a certain amount of stitches depending on the size, and then you've got a stitch marker that marks your left front and right front. So I'm just knitting the body now up until a certain amount. It's a free pattern, I think. So the size I'm doing, I have to knit to 8cm, and then you start doing buttonholes and the shaping. So buttonholes and then the shaping for here. So I just thought that would be perfect if they want to go to baby yoga. And she can just put it on over the top of a baby grow. And this is in my Hufflepuff bag by the gorgeous Tracy from Thimble and Thread Make, and it comes with a badger zipper pull, and this was part of her Harry Potter 3-month mystery subscription. I think that's what it was called, subscription club. So 1 month we got a Notions pouch. The next month we got the bag, I believe, and then the following month we got it comes with a DPN cozy as well. So you could choose which house you wear if you've already been sorted. I'm a big Harry Potter geek, so please excuse me. So if you'd already been sorted, then you could choose whichever house you wanted. So you got the DPN cozy and your house on the bottom of your bag, or you could just choose a general Hogwarts fabric if you wanted to. So the yarn I'm using for this is just a Drops Baby Merino Superwash extra fine merino wool, and it's like a light pink colour, and it's 05 colourway, because it's superwash, then it can just be, you know, put in the washing machine and not have to worry about, if you're gifting stuff, I don't like having people to hand wash, sorry. But I know my niece, if I say to her it needs hand washing, then she will do it. But for things like this, it's just as easy to use a superwash yarn. Yep, that's all I want to say about that. Okay, so third work in progress is the current, excuse me, sorry, I should be using a tissue, shouldn't I? You have to see, I have allergies, so I do suffer with. Okay, so this is the current pattern from the New York Sock collection by Mina of the Knitting Expat, who also has a really good podcast if you don't watch her. So these are the Central Park socks. So they've got this beautiful lace pattern on the front, and then again I've done I don't know why I can't do a proper Olive Partridge heel. I obviously got distracted and ended up just doing like a normal heel there. So again, I've done a heel flap and gusset, and this yarn is by Devon Sun Yarns, who's Lovely Daisy, and the colourway is Caribbean Sea, and this was from, I used to belong to her yarn club, but I could probably start my own yarn shop, so I have pulled back on some of the clubs that I'm doing. And then again, this is normal 75% merino, 20% nylon, 5% stellina. So it has got, I don't know if you can see it very well, has got a silver stellina in it. So yeah, you can probably see it here, like, if I wiggle. And it's this beautiful like aquamarine turquoise. I think it's just the way it's pooling. It's not supposed to be like a self-striping or anything. It's just the way I'm pooling. And again, I'm doing these on a 72 stitch. Mina's patterns are brilliant. They are so fantastically well written, and she gives you 3 different size options. I think it's 56 stitch, 64 and a 72. So you can adapt them to whatever, you know, whoever you're knitting them for, or whatever foot size you have. And then the normal rounded toe. So finished this first one yesterday, so I haven't cast on the second one yet. That's going to be probably something over the weekend I'll do. So I do like to try and finish them in the month that they come out, but you know, life gets in the way sometimes, so you don't always. And Mina is doing for a competition for, or not like a knit along for everybody who's bought the New York sock collection. You can enter monthly, and then she's doing like a grand prize for everybody who knits all 6 of the New York sock collection patterns. So, but they're really good. I've really enjoyed every single one that's come out so far. And this is being stored in my Free the House Elves bag. Again, Harry Potter. And this is from Mrs. QB on Instagram, who is QB's not-for-profit on Etsy. And every bag that you buy from her, she donates a certain amount to cancer research charity, I think. And it came with a little witch's hat zipper pull, and inside it's got one of these really cool little rings that you can hang stuff on, and it came with a little cancer research hope. That's not focusing very well, sorry. It says hope on it, little progress marker. And again, a beautifully well made bag. I think as well as a yarn obsession, I do have a project bag obsession as well. Okay, so second page of notes. The 4th work in progress, which is in my little grey girl pyramid bag. This is perfect for chucking in my handbag. I always like to have a pair of socks in my as a handbag project, because I do travel about a lot. My dad's in a nursing home in the next town to us, which is Plymouth, so I spend quite a bit of time, 2 days a week I go and see Dad, so I do spend quite a little bit of time sat with him and chatting and stuff, so it's nice just to have something to be able to knit on while I'm chatting with him and watching telly with him, etc. So these are, so in this project bag is my watermelon socks, and these were there's a watermelon self strap, and the colour's blowing out a bit, but they do actually, that's a bit better. They I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I know people have had a problem getting this yarn. I was one of the lucky ones who managed to get it. So because it came as a 50-gram ball, I don't know if I've got the tag. Yeah. So there's her tag, hand dyed by Kate. So it came as a sock set. So you get 50-gram of the main yarn, which was the watermelon, and then you get a 20-gram for the contrast, which was a green. So that's what I've done the toe and the cuffs in at the moment. And I did these socks, so I did them as like afterthought everything socks. So oh no, my balls disappeared. I did them as one long tube, so I just knit them. That's why you've got like half a stripe here and half a stripe there. So I just knit them. Imagine that as like one long tube, and I did a cuff on one end and I did a toe on the other. And then yesterday I was ever so brave, and I worked out I had 11 of these stripes. So on the 6th stripe, I did halfway through, I picked up stitches on the row above and I picked up stitches on the row below, and then I picked up, so imagine I was doing it on this green, so you have to cut a line of your stitching, of your knitting. So I picked up So I would have picked up the first row of that green, and then the second row of the light green. And then, so you pick up stitches all the way around, and then it was quite scary. You have to cut one stitch of that middle, the row between the two that you've picked up, and unravel them, and you end up with 2 socks. So then this one was obviously the top half, so I'd already knit the cuff, so I put a toe on, and then this one had the toe on, so I started knitting the cuff, and then I had to go and do grown-up things like cooking dinner and washing up and stuff, so never got around to finishing it yesterday. But I'm really pleased with how they've come out. And then they're only going to be shorty socks, because obviously so then I'll have to work out where I'm gonna have to measure and work out properly where I'm gonna cut in for I'm gonna have to do the same and pick up the stitches on one half of the sock to cut the heel in, so it'll be a proper afterthought heel. But I've never done that before, so I'm not overly sure where I need to be cutting. So I've bought the Fish Lips Kiss heel pattern, and I think it goes into really good detail in that pattern on how to measure and where to cut, etc. So we'll do that. I'll hopefully have them done for the next podcast. I don't think I'm going to have enough of this green to do the heels on both, but I've got some West Yorkshire Spinner standard 4-ply sock yarn in like this greeny colour, so I'll probably use that. I'll just put that up there. So I'll probably use that for the heels once we get around to cutting them in. Okay, so next work in progress. Well, it's not really a massive work in progress. I am doing the Exploration Station by the fabulous Mr. Stephen West, who I adore. I really want to go out on a night out with him, because I think he would just be hysterical. So this is literally all I've got done so far, and that's the wrong side. So I've literally just done like the setup section and one of the first wedges, and again it's brilliant because you do it putting the I-cord edge on as you go, and these are being done on Knit Pro Zings 4.5mm. I've gone, my shawls are tending to come out on the small side, so I've gone up a needle, half a needle size. I think he says 4mm. Just check. Yeah, he normally says 4mm. So, and again, I've got my stitch stoppers from Yarnistry, and I've got, these are the medium size. So the yarns I'm using for this are, which keep falling off. So I'm using 4, like the start section, and you do like a line in between each wedge. So this is Fibre Space Vivacious 4-ply in the Copper Tones colourway, and then the next yarn is one that I dyed myself. It sort of didn't come out right. I wanted it to come out like a more chestnutty colour, but I don't know what happened. But it's like a burnt orange cinder toffee sort of colour, but it works for what I'm using it for here. And then my third colour, this is Sugar Mouse Knitting in the Phoenix Rising colourway. It's a really cool sort of variegated, and again that Phoenix Rising is a Harry Potter reference, and this yarn was gifted to me by my brilliant friend Sophie when we did the fibre share swap, and we did that. There's with fibre share, there's 3 of you that get paired, you know what I mean, get joined together. So you all send to, like Sophie sent to me, and I sent to Imogen, and Imogen sent to Sophie. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. So you don't send to each other, you get shared as to who sends to who. within the trio. And it was brilliant because we've become such good friends through Fibershare, and we actually went to Wonderwall together, which was in Wales in April, and Imogen and I went to Pomfest last month in London. Unfortunately Sophie couldn't make it, and all three of us are going, we're doing another road trip to Nottingham Yarn Expo in November. We've got our premiere in booked, so we are coming. So that, yeah, sorry, a bit of a tangent there. So that's the third colour I'm using. Back to where you were, Luce. And then the fourth colour I'm using is this beautiful green from Once Upon a Corgi, and the colourway is You Have Your Mother's Eyes, which again is a Harry Potter reference. Most of my yarn that I buy, to be honest, is Harry Potter referenced. This Once Upon a Corgi is based in America, and I was lucky to win this skein as part of the year-long Harry Potter knit-along that Katie of Inside Number 23, who again is a really good podcast, is hosting, and she does like a monthly entry, and I was lucky enough to win one month. So this is a beautiful skein, and I got some beautiful Harry Potter themed stitch markers that came with it as well. So thank you, Katie. Not that I expect you'll be watching this, but you never know. And this again is in a beautiful cat hair covered, sorry, excuse the cat hair, nothing sacred in this house, a beautiful Harry Potter themed bag from Thimble and Thread Make, beautiful Tracy, and it's got some beautiful, and this ribbon carries on right around the back, and a beautiful handle, and it's just a white lining, but it's beautiful, and it's massive, it's such a big bag. So I've got all 4 skeins in there and the project, so it is a fantastically big bag. We're nearly there, I promise. And final project in my beautiful Little Bobbins bag. Danny from Little Bobbins, again another beautiful podcast. Her mum embroiders all of these, and then Danny makes them into beautiful bags, and I just love it. It's just adorable. I have these little snips from Higher. I think these are the cat ones here, and they're just brilliant for just hanging on. I think I've got about 4 or 5 pairs of them now, languishing in various project bags, and I just hang these on the zipper pull. And in here is my granny stripes sock yarn blanket. So I haven't done it very wide because I want it just to cover me when I'm on the sofa, and this is predominantly yarns from Cuddle Bums. I did one of her wrap club, was it last year? Yeah, last year's wrap club, but I didn't like the pattern. That I started knitting it, but it didn't come out very well, so I unravelled it all, and I thought I'd use it in these. So I have lots of lovely mini skeins from Cuddle Bums left, but I was taking part in Stash Dash, which is run by Laura of the Knit Girls, who again have a really good podcast. They do a weekly podcast, and they do something called Stash Dash each year. So the aim is you have a certain period of time. I think it started like the end of May or third week of May, and it finishes this Sunday. And the idea is you knit as much stash as you possibly can, and they do various levels. So it's like a 1,000 meter, 3,000, 5, 7, 10, and I think there's a 15, and you can use any of the Ravelry crafts. So knitting, crochet, spinning and weaving, and I was really pleased. My aim was, well, initially I thought 10k, but that just wasn't going to happen. I think I was a bit over ambitious, so then I knocked it back to 5k with a stretch goal of 7k, and I have hit just over 7k, so I'm really pleased. So that's 7,000 meters worth of stash. You can, and it's also a good way of finishing up any languishing works in progress. So I worked through like loads of long-standing whips that had been hanging around. So it's a really good way of finishing those up as well. Okay, so that is the final whip. So what I thought we'd talk about now is recent acquisitions. I am naughty and I do buy a lot of yarn, and I think I've got enough yarn to last me about 4 lifetimes, but it's just so beautiful and pretty, so you've just got to have it. So what's come in the post recently? These beautiful, I just love sniffing yarn, these beautiful balls of squishiness from the lovely Karen, who is Twisted Limone. That's focusing, I can't really see. Twisted Limone on Etsy and Instagram. So this is just beautiful. Look at those speckles. Look at the speckles. So this colourway is called a Rambling Rose, and it's on her zingy base, which is 75/25 merino and nylon, and it's 425 meters per 100 grams, and it's just beautiful. Those speckles are just amazing. Sorry. So it's a 2-stripe sequence, I would have thought. So you've got this beautiful rosy pink, and then a speckalicious. There's some like turquoise and pink and neon green and neon yellow. Oh, I can't wait to, they're going to be gorgeous. And then this one was a Halloween colourway called Haunted House, and you've got green, like a, I don't know what colour you would call it, like an apple green I suppose, orange, purple, black and white. So what's that going to be? 5, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 different stripe repeat. So whether I'll do these as an afterthought everything or not, I don't know, but they're so squishy. My sister really loves hand knit socks, and she's like really knit worthy, so I generally tend to only use about 50-ish grams of yarn when I do socks for me, so hopefully I'll have enough. She quite likes shorty socks, so I'm sure there'll be plenty to knit her a pair of shorty socks out of both of these as well, so we can be twinsies. Okay, next I ordered a, this is from Stranded Dyeworks. This has been in my stash for quite a while, and this is Amy's Batcave colourway, and the hubster has been like mentioning that he really likes this colourway, and I never knit for him and I knit for everyone else, you know, the general. So I think these are going to be a pair of socks for the hubster, but he has like size 10 feet, so it's a labour of love, what we do for more men, hey? So I ordered this from Amy's update last week, again on the same Oasis 75/25 in her limoncello colourway. So I thought that might be quite nice to do. It's like, it's not quite as neon as it's coming out on the camera. I thought it might be nice to do that as contrast heels, toes and cuffs for him, because I've never knit socks for somebody with big feet like that before, so I'm not sure how much yarn I'll use. I very much doubt I'll use all the 100 grams, but I thought to give myself a bit of a buffer, I'll get that contrast for him. It's really blown out, I'm really sorry. Oh, that's a bit better. It's not as like neon-y as it's coming out. It's like a, it's bright. It is bright. Apologies, my iPad decided I'd been rambling too long and decided that it wasn't going to record anymore. So yeah, so those will be for the hubster. Hopefully I'll be able to cut that out, but I don't know whether I will. And these next two are, if you belong to Nora George Yarn's Mrs. Weasley's Knit Club or the Homespun House Harry Potter Club, these are the July, might be August, I'm not sure, I can't remember. But if you haven't received any for these, I've had these a couple of weeks now, so hopefully everyone's received them. But they are club colourways, so if you don't want to see, if you haven't received them yet, please look away. So this is the Nora George, a beautiful Tracy at Nora George, who has just put up a new podcast episode. She hasn't podcasted for a little while. So the colourway, it's Leviosa, not Leviosa, which is what Hermione Granger says. And it's beautiful. It's like a beautiful, like pale greeny, buttery yellow with, oh, speckalicious. Look at those. Look at the speckle. Sorry, I do get a bit carried away with a speckle. Yeah, so that's that one. And then this is the latest Harry Potter from the Homespun House. Beautiful Molly, who again is brilliant that she's really started podcasting regularly again. And this colourway is sorry, I can't read backwards. You're going to suffer, but you're going to be happy about it, which is this, the main colour. And then Broaden Your Minds, which is when Ron and Hermione are in divination class and they're reading the tea leaves, and it came with a beautiful, excuse me, oh, it's really not organised, I do apologise, with the Homespun House Harry Potter clubs. You get a sucre miniature, and this time was a little teacup with, it's upside down, I don't know whether you can see that very well, but it's got the tea leaves in it in the shape of the Grim, which is so clever. And I do have sort of a few now, and some of the little special stitch markers. It's a little shoop, let me turn the shoop here around. So I bought this beautiful pouch with the little see-through front, again from Tracy at Thimble and Thread Make, and I've got my special stitch markers in there. This is one that came, Harry Potter, it's the cake that Hagrid makes Harry. Some Bertie Bott's beans. She did a Gilmore Girls like a one-off special, which I believe she's going to be bringing back. So we got a Pop-Tart and some coffee, and I think this is a butterbeer, but I'm not sure. And then when Tracy from Thimble and Thread did her Harry Potter bag club, she made these really cool sorting hat progress keepers as well as part of the club. So what's those? Because you know we all need pretties to hang on our knitting. So that was, I think that's all stash enhancement. That's what I was looking for earlier. This is Yarnistry. That's her information. I hope you can read it. It's a bit out of focus. But she was doing some mystery boxes of varying. You could like different amounts of money, but you got more than what you'd paid for, if you get my meaning. So I bought the £15 box, but I think it was like up to a value of like £20 worth of items for it. So I've got these cool glittery dinosaur stitch markers, some knitting, so some buttons that have got like a garter stitch detail on them, so I'm sure I can find something exciting. But there's, and then this cool keyring. It's like a leather piece of leather that's got garter and stocking stitch detail on it. I'm sure she does like bracelets with the same pattern on them. So she does some really cool like jewellery and pins and things, as well as knitting and crochet gadgets. And she laser cuts it all and things like that. And it comes in, well, you can see how many different colours it can come in. And I'm sure there's thousands more colours that she does as well. So that's about it, really. Wow, how long have we been? Coming up to 40 minutes. Okay, so what else I wanted to show you was I don't know whether any of you've probably all heard of the box of socks knit along. So here is my box of socks. This is being hosted by the gorgeous Kristen of the Yarngasm podcast. And the idea of the knit along is you knit at least 12 pairs of socks. Ideally you don't wear them, but you can wear them. And you get a pretty box to put them in. And I got this lovely little case from Dunelm, but I broke one of the clasps, which was a bit annoying. So it's beautiful, like botanical print box with a stripy inside. And in there I'm up to 12 pairs now with my Yorkville socks that I showed you earlier. So do you want to have a quick rummage through? So these are all the same. I've got 4 pairs that I've done. There's only 3 in here because I did 1 last year, but I got all the house colourways from Tracy and Nora George, and I did them all as the vanilla is the new black pattern. So it's got this like this really cool heel construction, so you increase out into like this, so cat-handed, increase out into this like cool triangle type pattern, and then decrease. And these are all, this is a micro stripe self striping, and this was a Slytherin colourway. And then I did the same in the Gryffindor colourway, and then the same in the Ravenclaw colourway. And I do have Hufflepuff ones, but they were knit last year, so they're not as part of this year's box of socks. This is another Nora George colourway. This is Zonko's Joke Shop. It's really blowing out. They are quite a bit. The green is really. You can probably see it up here. So it is like a limey green with beautiful speckles, and they're just a normal vanilla sock, 72 stitch with a eye of partridge, which again went a bit Pete Tong. Oh, that one's a bit better. Eye of partridge heel. Flapping gusset. These were another Nora George colourway. I think these were Luna, and I did these are called the Love Along socks. They were by Amy, who's inked indigo, I think, on Instagram, and she's put one of her and Debbie do the Periscoping Sisters podcast, and Amy's done loads of sock patterns as well. These are a Knitting Expat. I think these were the Pebbles. No, they weren't. I lied. Anyway, the rest of these are all Knitting Expats. Some of the New York sock collection. I can't remember which ones are which. I do apologise. This again is a Nora George. I believe that's Ollivander's One Shop, and that's Luna, which was this colourway. I just used it as a bit of a contrast for heels, and I did these. I heels are from the Smooth Operator sock pattern by Susan B. Anderson. So with these you put in a waste yarn rows. These again are most of my socks I knit out Nora George because it's just beautiful. These were again a Mrs. Weasley's Knit Club in the Garden Gnome colourway. These are I can't remember what pattern these are. They're all on my Ravelry projects page anyway. This again is another Amy Meeks Inked Indigo pattern. This colourway is Nora George Nearly Headless Nick's Death Day Party, and this is Moaning Myrtle. And then I'd striped, as part of the pattern, you stripe the heel, which was really cool. Sorry, I can't remember what the pattern name was. This is a Knitting Expat. They're really blowing out. This was part of the New York sock collection, and I just thought this yarn was a Devon Sun Yarns. It was a club colourway, and I just thought it was really summery, so it needed to be shorty socks. So it's a nice lacy pattern. I thought it was proper Devonshire then, sorry, pattern. This again is a Knitting Expat. This is a Devon Sun Yarns club colourway as well, so it's like a really cool sort of twisted stitch pattern. And then this one is like a mock cable. This again is the Knitting Expat New York sock collection. It's a bit difficult to see with this variegated yarn. And this yarn is Joe Knits Sew. I think that's what it is. Raving Squirrels was the colourway, which I thought was really cool. And this is just some contrast. I think it's a Signet yarns that I just picked up in my local yarn shop. That I thought worked really well as a contrast, and I did them the other way around on the second sock. So I did the pink heels, pink cuff and toe on that one with a purple heel, and then on the other one I did the purple heel, purple cuff and toe, sort it out Lucy, with the pink heel. So that is my box of socks. So it's such a cool knit along, and because you've got like a year's time frame for it, so it runs through till I think New Year's Day, and the only stipulation is all the socks have to be knit within that calendar year. So you can't do like I did for Christmas Eve cast on that Little Bobbins did. I went a bit mental and cast on 4 pairs of socks, but unfortunately none of those counted towards my box of socks. So yeah, so it has to be within this calendar year, and you have to, at the end, when you've got at least 12 pairs, you can knit as many pairs as you want. So I'll just keep going because I've got lots of socks that I knit last year to see me through the winter until I can start wearing these. So yeah, and then you have to take one photo with your box and at least your 12 pairs, your 12 pairs of socks at least, if not more, if you manage to get more done. Okay, I think that's it for today. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for sticking with me. I do apologise if I'm a bit rambly and a bit It was quite nerve-wracking doing this first one, but having my show notes really helped. So if you are thinking of doing your own podcast, then I would say I'm like really like dishevelled as well. So just jump in and have a go. Oh, I did want to say what my knitting goals were. I'm hoping to record every 2 weeks if life doesn't get in the way. But so hopefully by the next time I record, I want to get my watermelon socks finished and the Central Park socks will hopefully be finished, and fingers crossed the baby kimono will be finished, and I should be nearly finished the body on my flare jumper. But hey, who needs sleep when there's knitting to be done? So yeah, I didn't write that in my show notes. That's why it's come at a bit of a wobbly end. So yes, once again, thank you very much for listening, and hope you've enjoyed it. Please leave comments down below, good or bad, but be nice. If you're going to be bad, be nice, please. Thank you, because I am human and we have feelings. So hopefully I'll see you in a fortnight. Bye.